Jeremy Fowler was on the morning show today, Dano. Did he shed any light on exactly what the Browns are thinking?
He shed some light on a lot of different things that were going on involving the Browns coaching search for sure, including how many phone calls they're making all over the place to really do all of their background on that. But we'll start with Udinski, who you just brought up. Jeremy Fowler had this to say with the morning show.
Talked to some people in Jacksonville this week who work with him and say he has a way of utilizing the next level offensive thinking that he has, but then also being able to dumb it down to the other coaches and players. He tends to see the game a different way, and he's in the weeds with it as far as how he learns it and eventually teaches it. But some guys struggle with relaying that to the players. I'm told he's very skilled at keeping things simplified, even if he's trying to do next level stuff offensively. The stuff about smartest guy I've ever met and all that, like you do hear that from people. I think that is legit. It's just a matter of the fact that he's 30 years old and probably not ready right now as we speak to be a head coach, but that depends on what your style is, right? If you're trying to get ahead of it and you see a guy who in 2 years is going to be a superstar, that's sort of the thought with these things. And the Browns are in position to take that sort of swing on a Shieldhouse or a Udinski or even like a Dan Pitch. I would not discount him at all. In fact, I know there are people with the Browns who have looked at him as a future head coach, and not just right now, but before this cycle.
Well, remember, Sean McVay was 30 years old when the Rams hired him.
I'm telling you, he's going to be a finalist for this job. I think there's a good chance he ultimately will be the one to get this job. Whether or not he's ready, it doesn't matter. If the Browns think he's ready, or if the Browns think that they can put him in a position to be ready, then they will. But I know that they're going to talk to Jim Schwartz a second time. Probably going to talk to Todd Monken a second time, but
expected to happen next week.
I'm telling you, I think that one of these young, as I like to call them, the young whippersnappers, Jeff, the offensive geniuses, I think that that's the direction they're going to be heading.
So you guys brought up Jim Schwartz having a second interview with this that came out earlier today, along with Todd Monken as well. But Jim Schwartz part of it continues to be interesting. I know a lot of fans think that Jim Schwartz should be able to take this over. Jeremy Fowler had this to say when it came to the possibility of Jim Schwartz being your head coach.
It's going to be fascinating with Schwartz being in the mix here, because you have obviously the option, which I reported on earlier last week, that Browns have thought long and hard about having him as the D coordinator for the new head coach who would be offensive-minded and can grow in the role and would have Schwartz to lean on. I think that's a model that has been discussed. They have not shot down that model or put water on it, so that tells me there's something to it. However, I do think he has a realistic chance at the head job too. And if he doesn't get the head job, does he want to stay here and do that with somebody new that he doesn't have a relationship with? If the guy they pick as a head coach, does he want Schwartz, as good as Schwartz is, does he want that? Or maybe he's green enough where he doesn't really have a DC and needs that. The Schwartz domino here is fascinating. And I see a world where he stays either as DC or head coach, and he's under contract. Like, that's what was stressed to me. It's not like he can just leave for the Dallas defensive coordinator job. Like, I don't think they want to let him do that unless the new head coach doesn't want him.
Or unless he says, thank you, I'm done. Now he is under contract. He couldn't just walk and go work for another team. But, you wonder what I do, what's in Jim's head. If I'm going to get 2 interviews for this job and not get it, do I really want to go back and be a defensive coordinator for whoever it is they hire? And I think he has every right to answer that question, however it's going to please him.
Well, and he interviewed in Baltimore, too. Let's keep that in mind. The Ravens are still going through their coaching process. So even if the Browns were to hire their head coach, right, and it's not Jim Schwartz, but he agrees to stay on as defensive coordinator, but then after all that takes place, the Ravens come calling and, hey, Jim, we want you to come to Baltimore and coach the Ravens. So there's
Can't imagine that happening, can you?
No, but you never say never, Jeff.
No, it's exactly right.
You never say never.
Exactly
and they
right.
were interested enough to interview him.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
it
was the same day we were having the conversation about, hey, nobody's exactly knocking on Jim Schwartz's door, blowing up his phone, asking him for interviews. And then lo and behold, the Baltimore Ravens are like, yeah, we'd like to interview Jim Schwartz to replace John Harbaugh. So you never say never.
Or to maybe be somebody else's
who
defensive
I'm surprised
coordinator.
hasn't called him?
Who?
The Arizona Cardinals.
He'd be a nice fit there.
I'm a little surprised by that.
Calm that down.
Thought maybe the Cardinals would.
Although they had Jonathan Gannon as a defensive-minded coach, and maybe they think they want to go the other side of the ball.
Well, the other problem, too, you got to remember is that there's a lot of ties to Kevin Stefanski when it comes to the Arizona Cardinals and what they did. I mean, their former tight ends coach Drew Petzig was there as their offensive coordinator. Jonathan Gannon has ties as well, so those guys might be talking to each other. And maybe they have called, and Jim Schwartz and the boys are like,
No, we're good. Well, it's the one team Kevin hasn't interviewed with.
mm-hmm.
And the Steelers.
And maybe Kevin would like Jim Schwartz to come with him wherever he lands, assuming that he lands one of the head coaching jobs.
And there are many folks who have predicted Baltimore as a landing spot for Kevin. I don't see that myself.
Another thing I'm surprised by, Kevin has not been tied to the Philadelphia Eagles offensive coordinator job. I mean,
I saw a story about that the other day, though.
Yeah.
And it said, would that be a good thing for him?
Mike McDaniels,
I don't think it would be.
In between his head coaching interviews, he's interviewing for coordinator jobs right now.
Yeah, interviewed with the Bucks.
I kind of feel like with Kevin, he's either going to be a head coach or he
sits out a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I would agree with that.
Yeah, because you're not hearing a lot of buzz about Kevin taking coordinator job interviews right now.
He could live here in town and join us on a regular basis.
You know how many former Browns head coaches still live around here? Or former Browns employees, I should say.
Employees, well, they're hundreds.
Well, there's a couple other things going on with the Browns building as well, and one of them being how much impact Shedeur Sanders may have on the head coach. Jeremy Fowler had this to say.
I would be highly surprised. Now, maybe in a second interview setting, I think they'll talk about Shedeur, certainly, and the plan at quarterback and the guys that are on the roster. But I would be surprised if Shedeur is on the whiteboard drawing it up with Udinsky on a Tuesday. Now, if it was the number one pick, like Cam Ward in Tennessee right now, I could see that. Even though I don't even think they'll go that far. Because these teams, they want to make their own pick. They don't want to give players power in that. But they do want input. So I think Cam Ward will have some level of input in Tennessee. But this is just different. Sorry. This fifth-round pick played okay, But I think he could be a bridge potentially, but I don't think he's the answer. I think he'll be another quarterback next year.
Another quarterback next year.
Another quarterback next year, gentlemen.
Well,
he didn't say 2027.
No.
He said next year.
Next year is 2027.
Is it next season?
My assumption would be next year is the 2026 season.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
That would be I will say that is an assumption.
I'm assuming the same thing. We could be wrong.
See, I always confuse myself and catch myself because I always say next year, and I'm like, it is already next year. It's 2026, so it's next season. Because when you say next year to me, I'm thinking 2027 now because that is the next year.
See, gentlemen, do you believe that's the right mantra for the new head coach?
What?
To not have
wait till next year?
No. The Shedeur Sanders part of it.
There's no way they can tie Shedeur to the new head coach.
No, it's got to be an organizational decision with the head coach having input as to where Shedeur fits in the existing picture. Which I'm of the opinion he fits as follows: he gets a chance to compete with whoever is here and healthy.
Agreed.
And if he's good enough,
and that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
And you give him, and here's the thing:
Gabriel the same chance if he's still here.
The competition is different than what it was last year. Okay, Shedeur's not throwing to the ball boys; he's getting first team reps.
Oh no, one of those kids had really good hands.
Yeah, well then they should have had him run routes this past year.
Well, I was pushing
during
for that.
Games.
I was pushing for that.
For the ball boys to get signed to the active 53?
He had better hands. You saw the guys.
But in all seriousness, though, it's got to be he gets first-team reps during the offseason program and the mini camp and training camp. You give him a tangible opportunity to win that job because he didn't have – that was a three-man competition last year. I know they said it was four-man. It was really a three-man.
Well, until they started trading guys.